My girlfriend said, I need to find myself. I answered, take your time. Blocked her everywhere. Started traveling solo. She found herself alone and regretful. I found myself happy and free in 47 countries. Hey Reddit. I need space to find myself. Those 6 words hung in the air between us like smoke from a dying fire. My girlfriend of 4 years stood in our apartment. Technically my apartment, since I'd been paying rent solo for the last 8 months, with tears streaming down her face. She looked at me like I was supposed to fall apart, beg her to stay, promise to change. Instead, I nodded once and said, take all the time you need. Her tears stopped. The confusion on her face would have been funny if my chest hadn't felt like it was caving in. I'm 29. We'd been together since we were 25. For years of my life invested in someone who apparently needed to find herself, right when I'd started making real money as a software consultant. Funny how that timing worked. That's it, she asked, voice cracking. You're not even going to fight for us? What's there to fight for? I kept my voice level calm. You just told me you need to find yourself. Go find yourself. I'm not going to stop you. I thought you'd. I don't know, ask me to stay. Tell me we can work through this together. I looked at her, really looked at her. The woman I'd supported through her career changes, her artistic phases, her spiritual awakenings. The woman who'd quit 3 jobs in 2 years because she wasn't fulfilled. The woman whose portion of rent I'd covered because she needed to invest in herself by taking expensive yoga teacher training courses she never completed. If you need to leave to find yourself, then you've already left, I said. I'm just respecting your decision. She stared at me for a long moment, then grabbed her purse. I'll come back for my things this weekend. Sure. I'll box everything up for you. She waited, clearly expecting more. When I just pulled out my phone and started scrolling, she left. The door closed with a soft click that felt louder than a slam would have. I sat there for exactly 5 minutes, feeling the weight of 4 years trying to crush me. Then I did something I'd been wanting to do for months. I opened my laptop and booked a flight to Thailand. One-way ticket. Departure date, 3 days from now. Then I blocked her on everything. Phone, social media, email, all of it. I didn't do it out of anger. I did it because I knew what was coming. The late-night texts. The I miss you messages. The breadcrumbs designed to keep me on the hook while she explored whatever fantasy she'd convinced herself was out there. Not this time. The next morning, I call my boss. I'm going remote, effective immediately. If that's a problem, I quit. It's not a problem, he said, sounding amused. You've been carrying the team anyway. Send me an invoice monthly. 2 days later, I had a storage unit for my furniture, a backpack full of essentials, and a freedom I hadn't felt in years. My apartment lease was up in 6 weeks anyway. Perfect timing. My best friend Carlos called me the night before my flight. Dude, are you serious right now? You're just leaving. She left first, I said, folding a shirt into my pack. I'm just making it official. But what if she realizes she made a mistake? Then she'll have to find herself in her mistake. I'm done being someone's backup plan. That's cold, man. No, it's self-respect. There's a difference. Thailand hit me like a drug I didn't know I needed. I landed in Bangkok at midnight, got a hostel in Khao San Road, and spent the next 3 days eating street food and wandering temples. No schedule, no one to check in with, no one wondering when I'd be home. I met other travelers, people from Germany, Australia, Brazil. Everyone had a story about why they were there. Most involved some version of escape. We'd sit in hostels or beach bars, swapping tales, and for the first time in years, I felt like I was living instead of just existing. After a week, I took a bus north to Chiang Mai. That's where I met this older British guy named Hugh who'd been traveling for 12 years straight. He worked remotely, moved every few months, and looked happier than anyone I'd ever met. The secret, he told me over beers one night, is realizing you don't need permission to live your life. Most people wait for the perfect moment. They wait for approval. They wait until it's convenient. And then they wake up at 60 and realize they've been waiting their whole lives. What made you start? I asked. Divorce. Nasty one. Thought my life was over. He smiled. Turned out it was just beginning. I spent 6 weeks in Thailand, then flew to Vietnam. Hanoi, Hoi An, Ho Chi Minh City. Each place revealed something new, not just about the world, but about myself. I learned I could navigate foreign cities without GPS. I could make friends in hostels within hours. I could eat weird food, sleep in questionable beds, and wake up excited instead of dreading the day ahead. I also learned that I'd been living small for years, making myself smaller to accommodate someone else's uncertainty. 2 months in, my friend Carlos sent me a message on WhatsApp. Bro, You need to know something. She's asking everyone about you. Wants to know where you are, how you're doing. She's been posting cryptic stuff on Instagram about mistakes and second chances. Block her if she's bothering you. I replied. That's it. You don't even want to know what she's saying. Not really. I'm in Cambodia right now. Angkor Wat tomorrow. I'm good. You're cold as ice, man. I'm just done caring about someone who didn't care about me until I stopped being available. Cambodia led to Laos. Laos led to Myanmar. Each country was a chapter, each city a paragraph in the story I was writing with my life. I worked remotely from cafes and co-working spaces, taking calls with clients while overlooking rivers and mountains and oceans. My income actually increased because I had fewer distractions and more focus. 4 months after leaving, I was in Nepal, about to trek to Everest Base Camp, when my mom called. Honey, she came by the house. My stomach dropped. Who did? You know who. She was crying, asking if I'd heard from you. She said she made a terrible mistake. What did you tell her? I told her you were traveling and that she should have thought about that before she decided to find herself. Then I closed the door. I actually laughed. My mom had never liked her much. Thanks, Mom. You sound happy, sweetie. Really happy. Keep doing whatever you're doing. The Everest Base Camp trek broke me physically and rebuilt me mentally. 2 weeks of hiking through the Himalayas with a small group of strangers who became friends. No phone service. No internet. Just mountains, prayer flags, and the sound of your own thoughts. One night at a tea house, this woman from Sweden asked me why I was traveling alone. Girlfriend dumped me. I said simply. Decided to turn it into something positive. Did it work? I looked out at the peaks surrounding us, touched by moonlight. Yeah, it really did. Good for you, she said. Most people would still be home, stalking her Instagram and feeling sorry for themselves. I blocked her before I could do that. Smart man. After Nepal, I flew to India, then Sri Lanka, then the Maldives, where I worked from a beach bungalow and video called clients while wearing board shorts. It was absurd and perfect. 6 months into my journey, Carlos sent me a screenshot. It was from a mutual friend's Instagram story. A picture of my ex at a coffee shop, looking miserable, with the caption, "When you realize the grass isn't greener, it's just different grass." She's falling apart, man, Carlos messaged. Everyone's talking about it. She tried dating some musician guy, didn't work out. Tried going back to her old job, they wouldn't take her. Her roommate situation is a mess. And you're telling me this because? Because you won. You can come back now. Rub it in her face. I'm not coming back to rub anything in anyone's face. I'm in Sri Lanka. Next month I'm thinking Seychelles or maybe Madagascar. How long are you going to do this? Until I don't want it anymore. The truth was, I wasn't running away from her anymore. I'd stopped thinking about her weeks ago. I was running towards something. Toward the person I'd lost while trying to be what she needed. In the Maldives, I met a French woman named Amélie who was also traveling solo. We spent 3 weeks together, diving, exploring islands, talking about life. Nothing serious, just 2 people enjoying each other's company without expectations or demands. You're different from most men I meet traveling, she said one evening as we watched the sunset. How so? You're not running. You're not trying to find yourself. You already know who you are. You're just enjoying being alive. Took me a while to get here. It takes everyone a while. Some people never get here at all. When we parted ways, her to Australia, me to Africa, we hugged like old friends and promised to stay in touch. No drama, no tears, just genuine appreciation for shared time. I spent the next 8 months crossing Africa. Kenya, Tanzania, South Africa, Namibia, Botswana. I went on safari, climbed mountains, slept under stars in the Serengeti. I worked from Cape Town for a month, from a co-working space with a view of Table Mountain. My savings were holding up better than expected. Turns out, living in Southeast Asia and Africa was cheaper than living in a 1-bedroom apartment in Seattle. I was actually saving money while traveling. 1 year after she'd said those words, I need to find myself. I was in Morocco, wandering the markets of Marrakesh, when my brother texted me. She asked me for your number. Said it's important. Said she needs to talk to you about something serious. Tell her no. I already did. Just thought you should know she's still trying. Appreciate it. I sat in a rooftop cafe that night, drinking mint tea and watching the city lights, and I felt nothing. No anger. No satisfaction. No curiosity about what she wanted. She'd become a character in a story I'd stopped reading. Europe came next. Portugal, Spain, France, Italy. I spent 3 months bouncing between cities, taking cooking classes, learning languages, writing code in cafes that had been standing for centuries. In Barcelona, I met an American woman named Victoria who was also working remotely. We dated casually for 6 weeks before she headed back to the States. "You know what's attractive about you?" she said before her flight. "You're completely content alone. You don't need anyone to complete you. That's rare. Learned it the hard way. Best lessons usually are." By month 18, I'd visited 32 countries. I'd learned to surf in Bali, tango in Buenos Aires, cook pasta in Rome. I'd made friends on every continent, collected stories instead of things, and built a life that fit me instead of trying to fit into someone else's life. My business was thriving. Clients loved the different time zones. It meant round-the-clock availability. I doubled my rates and still had more work than I could handle. I hired a virtual assistant in the Philippines and started thinking about scaling up. Then month 20 rolled around, and something unexpected happened. I was in Japan, staying in a capsule hotel in Tokyo, when I got an email that made it through my filters. It was from her. Subject line: "Please read this." I almost deleted it, but curiosity won. I opened it. The email was long. Too long. Pages of apologies, explanations, justifications. She'd made a mistake. She'd been confused. She'd taken me for granted. She'd been selfish. She'd grown. She'd changed. She'd learned. She understood now what she'd lost. "I see your pictures online," she wrote. "I see how happy you look. I see what an amazing life you're building. And I realize that could have been us. We could have traveled together. We could have built this life together. But I threw it away because I thought I needed to be alone to find myself. Instead, I just found loneliness and regret. I know I don't deserve a second chance. I know I hurt you. But if there's any part of you that still cares, please call me. Please talk to me. I miss you every single day. I love you. I always have. I was just too stupid to appreciate what I had." I read it twice. Then I closed my laptop, went to a ramen shop, ate the best tonkatsu of my life, and slept like a baby. I never responded. Not because I was being cruel or wanted revenge. I didn't respond because there was nothing to say. The person she wanted to talk to, the guy who would have dropped everything to fix things, who would have welcomed her back with open arms, that person didn't exist anymore. Month 24. 2 years on the road. I'd visited 43 countries. I'd learned 4 languages, badly, but enough to get by. I'd built a 6-figure remote business. I'd kissed women from 8 different countries. I'd slept in hostels and 5-star hotels. I'd eaten street food that cost $1 and tasting menus that cost $200. I'd found myself, not in some dramatic revelation or spiritual awakening, just in the quiet accumulation of experiences, in the slow build of confidence that comes from navigating the world alone. My parents came to visit me in Croatia that summer. We rented a villa on the coast, and I spent 2 weeks showing them my world, teaching them how I travel, how I work, how I live. "You're different," my dad said one evening over wine. "Happier, more settled, somehow, even though you're never in one place." "I feel settled," I said. "Just took a while to realize that being settled doesn't mean being stuck." "She really messed up," my mom added. "She did me a favor," I corrected. "If she hadn't left, I'd still be in Seattle, going through the motions, wondering why I felt so empty." "Do you ever think about her?" "Sometimes, but not in the way you'd think. I don't miss her. I don't hate her. She's just someone I used to know." By month 30, I'd hit 47 countries. I was in New Zealand, standing at the edge of a cliff overlooking the ocean, when I realized something. I wasn't traveling to escape anymore. I was traveling because I loved it. The motion, the discovery, the constant newness. It had become who I was. I also realized I was ready to slow down a bit. Not stop, just slow down. Find a base somewhere. Maybe spend 3 months at a time in different places instead of 3 weeks. I ended up choosing Portugal. Lisbon, specifically. Great weather, affordable, good food, fast internet, thriving digital nomad community. I found a furnished apartment with a view of the Tagus River and settled in. Settled was relative. I still traveled constantly. But now I had a home base, a place to come back to between adventures. 3 years after she'd said those words, I was sitting in my favorite Lisbon cafe when a message came through from an unknown number. "I don't know if you'll read this, but I need to say it. I heard through friends that you're living in Portugal now, that you've traveled to almost 50 countries, that you're thriving and happy and successful. I'm genuinely happy for you. I mean that. You deserve better than what I gave you. I see that now. I'm working on myself, actually working, not just saying it. I'm in therapy. I have a stable job. I'm learning to be content alone. I hope one day you can forgive me, not for my sake, but for yours. You shouldn't carry anger toward anyone. You're too good for that. I read it, acknowledged that it took courage to send, and then deleted it. Not out of anger. I just didn't need it. Forgiveness wasn't something I had to actively give. I'd already let it go by living well. Carrying her mistakes around would have weighed me down, and I'd worked too hard to travel light. That evening, I met some friends, a mix of locals and travelers, at a rooftop bar. We toasted to nothing in particular, just to being alive and together in that moment. A British woman named Sophie and I had been casually seeing each other for a few weeks. Nothing serious, but comfortable. Easy. You're smiling, she said, leaning into me. What's funny? Just thinking about how different my life is from 3 years ago. Better. Incomparably better. Glad I get to be part of it, even if just for a little while. Me too. That was the thing I'd learned. Not everything had to be forever to be meaningful. People could enter your life, share part of your journey, then go their separate ways, and it was beautiful rather than tragic. Love didn't have to be possession. Connection didn't have to be control. The 47th country was Iceland, and I went during the winter to see the northern lights. I stood in sub-zero temperatures, watching green waves dance across the sky, and I thought about the guy I used to be. The one who would have stayed in that relationship until it completely destroyed him. The one who thought love meant sacrificing yourself. I was grateful to that guy for finally choosing himself, for blocking her number, for booking that one-way ticket, for deciding that finding himself didn't require permission or approval. My phone buzzed, a client with a question. I answered it quickly, then put the phone away. The lights continued their cosmic dance, indifferent to human drama, and I felt small in the best way possible. For years, 47 countries, countless experiences, immeasurable growth. She needed to find herself. That was fine. Everyone's journey is their own. But I'd found myself too, and what I'd found was better than anything I'd lost. I was 33 now, standing in Iceland, planning my next 20 countries, working on my own terms, living by my own rules, and happier than I'd ever been in a relationship. Sometimes people ask me if I regret how it ended, if I wish I'd fought harder or given her another chance. I tell them the truth. The best thing she ever did for me was leave. The best thing I ever did for myself was let her go completely. Because here's what I learned. You can't find yourself while holding on to someone who makes you feel lost. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do, for yourself and for them, is walk away and mean it. She wanted space to find herself. I gave her that and more. I gave her complete absence. And in that absence, I found everything I'd been missing. Freedom, joy, purpose, and the kind of peace that comes from knowing exactly who you are and exactly what you want. Turns out, the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's building a life so fulfilling that your ex becomes a footnote in a story you barely remember telling. The northern lights faded as dawn approached. I walked back to my rental car, already thinking about the next destination. Argentina was calling. Or maybe Antarctica. I had time to decide. I had nothing but time. And for the first time in my adult life, that felt like a gift rather than a burden. She'd found herself alone and regretful. I'd found myself happy and free in 47 countries. Funny how things work out.